So, what does it actually take to create a golden age? A time of real peace, incredible prosperity, and innovation that literally changes the world. Today, we're diving into one of history's most amazing examples, India's Gupta Empire. We're going to see how some visionary rulers, pure artistic genius, and mind-blowing science all came together to forge a legacy that, believe it or not, still touches our lives today.
But hang on, before we jump in, let's ask the big question right up front. We throw this term golden age around all the time, right? But what does it really mean? What are the key ingredients for an era to earn that kind of legendary title?
You see, a true golden age isn't just about a powerful king or a massive army. The key phrase here is the best progress of all the people. It's one of those rare moments in history where things are so peaceful and secure, there's so much prosperity going around, that art, culture, and science can just explode. That's the benchmark we're using here.
Okay, so how on earth did the Guptas pull this off? Well, it all started with some seriously visionary leadership. We're talking about a series of ambitious rulers who didn't just conquer new lands. They actually built a stable foundation for a real empire.
So the story really gets going in the 3rd century with the dynasty's founder, Sri Gupta. But the real rocket fuel was added by Chandragupta I. Around 319 AD, he didn't just expand his kingdom. He took on this magnificent title, Maharaja Dhiraj, which basically means the king of great kings. And to back it up, he started minting these beautiful gold coins, which was like a giant billboard to the world saying, hey, there's a new power in town.
Then you get his son, Samudragupta, who is just one of the most fascinating figures in history. On one hand, the guy was a military genius who just kept expanding the empire in every direction, a total conqueror. But here's the wild part. He was also a sensitive artist, a poet known as Kaviraj, the king of poets, and a celebrated musician. This wasn't a king who just paid for art, he was an artist.
And this isn't just some legend, We literally have the receipts. Archaeologists have found coins from his reign that actually show him playing the veena, a really complex stringed instrument. I mean, can you imagine finding a Roman coin with an emperor playing a lyre? This single image tells you everything you need to know about how important art and culture were to the Gupta's idea of what a perfect ruler should be.
The empire's momentum just kept building, and it reached its absolute peak under Samudragupta's successor, Chandragupta II. He's the one who earned the legendary title Vikramaditya, and it was under his rule that the Golden Age really hit its stride.
Now, Vikramaditya was also a military mastermind. He pulled off something his father couldn't. He finally crushed the rival Shaka dynasty, a power that had controlled Western India for 400 years. This wasn't just another battle. This was a strategic masterstroke that would completely change the empire's future.
And why was that such a game changer? Well, that one single victory gave the Guptas control over the incredibly wealthy ports in Gujarat. All of a sudden, they had a direct highway to the Arabian Sea. This just supercharged their international trade, and a river of gold and silver started pouring into the empire, creating wealth on a scale they'd never seen before.
So what do you do with that kind of money and stability? You become a magnet for talent. Vikramaditya's court was home to a legendary group of intellectuals known as the Nine Gems. Just think about this lineup. You had Kalidas, the Shakespeare of India, the brilliant Dr. Dhanvantri, the pioneering scientist Vara Mahir, all in the same place at the same time. It was an absolute explosion of art and intellect.
Okay, so all this amazing art and culture is great, but it has to be built on something solid, right? So how did the Guptas actually run this massive empire? What was the machinery that kept this golden age humming?
The answer is they were incredibly organized. The Guptas didn't just rule by the sword. They built a sophisticated bureaucracy. Think of it like a modern government cabinet. They had a specific minister for the army, a minister for foreign affairs, they even had a Pustapal, whose entire job was to manage state documents. It was a remarkably modern and efficient machine.
And that administrative stability supported an absolute powerhouse of an economy. You can see just how diverse it was. Of course, farming was the backbone, but look at this. A full 50%, half the economy was driven by trade, both inside the empire and with the rest of the world. They were exporting stuff everyone wanted, like cotton, silk, and spices. And in return, that river of gold just kept flowing in.
Now this might be one of the most remarkable things about this era, its religious atmosphere. The Gupta emperors themselves were devout Hindus. In fact, it was during this time that epics like the Ramayana and Mahabharata were put together in the versions we know today. But here's the thing. It wasn't an age of intolerance. Buddhism and Jainism were also respected and allowed to flourish.
which says a lot about a society that valued intellectual and spiritual freedom.
But for all the amazing art, all the smart governance, the most mind-blowing legacy of the Gupta Empire might just be in science and math. And we're not talking about small improvements. We're talking about fundamental breakthroughs that would literally change the course of human history.
What is the single most revolutionary idea in the entire history of mathematics? Really think about it. I would argue you're looking at it. The concept of nothing as a number, 0. It was right here, in this period, that the genius mathematician Aryabhata introduced the world to the concept of 0 and the decimal system. Just take a second to let that sink in. Without those two innovations, modern science, computers, our entire digital world would be literally impossible. And this genius wasn't just on paper. They applied it in the real world with results that are, well, just stunning. In metallurgy, Gupta engineers built something that still baffles scientists today, the incredible iron pillar of Mehroli, which was forged right at the peak of Vikramaditya's reign. And here is the truly astonishing part. This pillar has been standing outside in the punishing monsoon rains and the scorching Delhi heat for over 1,600 years, and it has not rusted. Modern science is still not 100% sure how they created an iron alloy so pure that it could resist corrosion for centuries. It is an absolute masterpiece of ancient engineering.
But as we all know, no golden age lasts forever. After centuries of peace and prosperity, the empire began to face some major challenges that, in the end, would bring it all down.
After the death of the great Vikramaditya, a series of weaker rulers just couldn't hold things together. There was a brave emperor named Skandagupta who fought his heart out, but the empire was facing constant, relentless attacks from invaders known as the Hunas. Under all that strain, the great Gupta Empire finally broke apart around the year 550 AD.
So, when you boil it all down, the Gupta formula for a golden age seems pretty clear. Stability creates prosperity, prosperity fuels culture and science, and those innovations change the world. Which leaves us with a really big question, doesn't it? We've just seen the ingredients they used back then. What ingredients do you think we need to build a new golden age, right here, right now?